Says we're live.
Yeah, it does say we are live. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but this is Lock and Load on Gun Channels. It's our Monday show, and we're going to talk about EMPs, cyber warfare, and our during the pre-chat, we figured out how to defeat North Korea. Do you have that screen share of our device from Disneyland?
Yes. Hold on just a second.
And if they could time the invasion of Korea around December 15th, I think that's when they're releasing the new Star Wars movie, right?
I believe so. Where is it?
Can you see it?
Yeah, let me present you. So what we do is we have South Korea, we give them the plans, and they build some of these Imperial walkers, and we just send them across the DMZ. Instead of having to nuke them or have an deploy an EMP over North Korea.
We'll just stomp them.
Yeah, we'll just send a few Imperial walkers across the demilitarized zone, and they'll deal with it. And then Trump could get on, and he could do an advertisement for, they could do a coordinated campaign with Disney and the release of the movie. I'm sure they'll, get the media, mainstream media on our side because Disney is a corporate entity.
They could use the profits from the Disney movie on how we stomp North Korea and eliminate the national debt. It'll be bigly.
Yeah, we just need to build some Imperial walkers. So what started all this was Zero Hedge had an article on the threat of a North Korean EMP. And although Zero Hedge is kind of like a Russian propaganda website in more ways than one, it's kind of like the Tokyo Rose during World War II. It's too dangerous not to pay attention to what is on their site. So, so we're all going full Maldorian mode here. I've got my Lock and Load thumbnail. I think I'm going to have to take Squib off of present.
I'm not sure I could.
All right, so, basically, in between the threat from future quantum computing, which all the major nations are working on quantum computing for hacking and cyber warfare, and there is a rumor that instead of your social security number, there's something out there about instead of everybody having a social security number, which was recently hacked in the big Equifax hack, where I think 100 million people got all their financial information and social security numbers and birth dates and codes and all that hacked through Equifax. Basically, they're going to put what they'll do is they'll just cancel the social security numbers and give everybody put everybody's social security account on the blockchain. So I'm sure that'll make you guys happy, and all you Bitcoin people happy. But they're thinking about using blockchain technology for social security. But anyway, now what is that? Who had knives on the table on a pumpkin? Okay, I missed that.
Can I add to that, Hawaii?
Go ahead.
Whoa! You just did what I used to do. You are kind of hitting an area that goes from the Bible, though. Beast. And I have always felt that the mark of the beast will be a number.
Okay, Squib. Go ahead.
I'm having issues. I'm having issues.
All right, go ahead, Dusty. You were trying to talk if you're still with us.
Dusty?
Okay. So where did you guys lose me at?
The mark of the beast.
The mark of the beast.
The mark of the beast, which I feel that, just like our social security number, you may have that number forehead, and that will be the mark, and that will be how you pay your bills. It will be how you live. and that will be the mark of the beast.
So this is
I'm getting
episode number
into it.
666 of Lock and Load. And
This is a very hot topic that will, I mean, we should bring it up, but
okay,
yes,
but
if you're a Bible scholar, you're part of it.
right, that's in the book of Revelations, which is part of
Yes,
the
and
New
I wish Oily was here because Oily could really help me with this.
Yeah, she's into all that stuff. She's very religious as far as her beliefs, and she does do Bible studies. So, but I'm an Old Testament guy,
Yes.
and
And I know
Revelations
she
isn't in that.
studied.
But I
Well-
wanted to kind of read this part on the threat for the EMP and cyber warfare really quick, if it's okay. Basically, the Zero Hedge article starts out, the title is, If North Korea can kill 90% of Americans in a year, why did the Department of Defense just defund the Congressional EMP Commission? So this was from October 17th, this article came out. At a House hearing yesterday, expert warned members of Congress that a North Korean EMP attack could kill 90% of Americans within 1 year, calling it an existential threat. Commission to assess the threat to the United States from electromagnetic pulse attack has been around for nearly 2 decades, but their efforts have mostly been restricted to making sure the U.S. National Command Authority and U.S. strategic forces could continue to function. Meanwhile, no major efforts were then thought necessary to protect critical national infrastructures. Apparently, the plan was that our defense would be so effective, no further steps were needed. This has all changed with the recent strides in nuclear weaponry by North Korea. The results of an EMP strike could be apocalyptic. The real takeaway from the story here, just reading through it, is that 2 Russian generals testified before Congress, that 2 Russian generals that were in charge of nuclear weapons, that a super Soviet, the design for Soviet Russian super EMP warhead were accidentally sent to North Korea. So I don't know, they just hit reply, send all, and attach the plans or something. But, for anybody who's ever done that on AOL or something like that on your email program. But in addition, there were, due to brain drain in Russia, a lot of scientists have been hired by North Korea, which is, they don't have any money. How can they hire anybody? I guess they're mining Bitcoin or something. But in any event, here's, let me, where's that in the article? This was in, but that isn't the worst. In 2004, because this is from 2004, 2 Russian generals told the EMP Commission that their design for a super EMP weapon was, quote, accidentally transferred to North Korea. Just, this is bad. We're in 2017, and we're just hearing about this now from a Russian propaganda site. Okay, well, I'm going to find it dubious, but not implausible that happened. So let that sink in. Somehow North Korea has had their hands on the designs for an incredibly powerful EMP weapon for more than a decade, the report says. 2 Russian generals, both EMP experts, warned the EMP Commission that the design for Russia's super EMP warhead, capable of generating high-intensity EMP fields over 100,000 volts per meter, was, quote, accidentally transferred to North Korea. They also said that due to brain drain, Russian scientists were in North Korea, as were Chinese and Pakistani scientists, according to the Russians, helping with North Korea's missile and nuclear weapon programs. So the question is, how likely is this attack to occur? Now, they don't need a re-entry vehicle, apparently, for this attack to occur. They just need to launch it into space. And I guess depending on how effective they construct this warhead, according to they can duplicate the plans or implement the plans, then the threat would be real. And there's also a threat from cyber warfare too. And there's a whole history on this article. Where's the screen share? In the middle, I'm trying to screen share this particular graphic. Is that you got a helicopter, a sea stallion there you're showing there, Squib?
Where's that at? That's cool.
I don't know. Let me find my screen share button. Yeah, so here it is. What would the aftermath of an EMP look like? Well, there's basically, it seems to me like what the commission has been working on before they were defunded was a continuity of government and not really continuity of the people. So if you're a people, you might be worried. I noticed that Hawaii is nowhere in this particular threat zone, thank goodness.
Yeah, because they don't care.
Yeah, well, Hawaii is its own special, unique place full of strange people.
But
by the way, on an update on that, the police, I think yesterday or the day before, the police showed up in the morning at that guy's house at the end of the Union who shot out his windows. And I think I'm guessing, because I have no information on this, but I'm guessing they just got they disqualified him from owning firearms after shooting out the windows of his own condo. So there's like 8 cop cars showed up, or 7 or something, and that's what I heard. And I assume they went in to confiscate all the firearms. So this guy was having a breakup with his wife, left him and went to Vegas to go party. So naturally, he took it out on the windows because they own the condo together or something. I don't know. But anyway, so as far as the EMP goes, I don't know how you prepare for an EMP, except have lots of barter items that you don't need anything on the internet to figure out or transfer money around, or because obviously if the internet goes down, banks don't work without the internet. The power goes down, not much works without power. And
there'll be no Bitcoin.
Yes. There will be Bitcoin now. I've given some thought to that. Now, specifically, if you keep your Bitcoin on a Trezor off and not in an online wallet, and you have keep your Trezor storage device in a Faraday cage, then you should be okay when the grid eventually comes back up, however many years that takes.
But you know, the problem I have with all the deaths that they're listing on that, where we have a bunch of Amish without electricity, they have no telephones, they have no internet. You know, we used to live that way.
But do they get food from any stores where they have just-in-time delivery at all, or anything?
No,
like
they
that?
Pay cash. They walk into a store, they pay cash for their food.
They go to the bank to get the cash? Do they go to the bank to get the cash?
Well, no, they get it from somewhere.
They sell quilts.
Use a credit card, so they probably do. They cash their money at a bank.
Well, they won't be. The banks they won't function without the internet.
I don't believe that.
Well, then you don't understand the banking system. They don't. They won't. They can't. It's all connected on the internet. It's all digital. We live in a digital world, Dusty. You better get used to it now. We live in a digital world. The Bible's great for study, but the banking system has changed since the birth of Christ.
Well, I'm great. I mean, I agree with that too, but I'm sure that somebody will. I mean, the banking system's down. I know when I used to work in retail, we had days where our computers went down. We went back and we did our business for the day on paper, still thinking that if the computers go down, have that paper mechanism to do their paperwork on.
They don't.
Granted, they're not going to put it in an overnight deposit and make all that money, but they're going to the way things used to be done.
They are not prepared to do that. There's no money. First of all, for every $100 you have on an account in a bank, there's about 2 cents. Okay, so let that sink in for a minute. It's all digital bank currency. I mean, I know you know how they create money between the Treasury, selling bonds, the banks go and buy the bonds, and the banks take the bonds that they just bought and sell them to the Federal Reserve, who writes them a check out of an account with no money, and the banks take that check from the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve keeps the bonds as on a balance sheet, but the banks go and they put the money into a bank account, and they create what's called bank currency simply by opening up their laptop and typing in however much the bond was or however much the check from the Federal Reserve was. So the Federal Reserve issues a check for $1 trillion. The banker goes to his laptop, opens it up, and types in $1 trillion, and bang, bank currency. It's instantly created. Of course, if you had the dollar, it just became, if you were holding on to a paper dollar or a digital dollar or any kind of dollar, then all your current dollars you were holding just became worth less. But in this particular situation, nobody will care about any of that. They will just want to know where their paper dollars are, and the banks won't even open if the internet and power is down. I mean, it'll just be a bank holiday, banks closed due to EMP. There might be a sign up with a pencil in front of the bank saying, so what will become valuable are barter items. And I'm not saying silver in Puerto Rico, people were trying to, the people that had pawn shops, they were buying gold and silver, but they wanted it, they were paying less than the spot price. They wanted it for like, they would only pay paper money because it was hard to get. Paper money was hard to get. They would only pay for like half of the spot price or something. So they were basically trying to profit from the situation. And so the gold and silver might not be worth that much right away, but cash will be valuable if you have paper money. So it's always a good idea to have as much paper money as you can afford to have in your safe or whatever around your house. So that was valuable, but also items like cigarettes, gasoline, food, I suppose ammo. But I guess things haven't got too crazy in Puerto Rico where the ammo became an issue. There's plenty of military and FEMA working there. But in this particular case, if you're in the mainland, I'm just going to assume that the military will be busy taking care of the government and not the people, which appears to be, because that's continuity of government is what they're working on here. I don't.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dusty.
My question is, can you live a year without the banks?
It would
I know
be difficult.
here, I could live probably 2 years without ever going to the bank. Pretty much, I could
because of your food supply.
Supporting, yes, because of my food supply, the property I have, everything I have here. I could probably even invite Squib to come and stay with me and live 4 years.
Okay, well, that's awesome because, yeah, well, I'm sure you might need some help in such a scenario. But the other problem would, of course, be if there was an EMP, that we had talked about this before, is that if or a cyber attack against nuclear power plants and their cooling system went offline or didn't have power, then they would melt down within a week, and there'd be radioactive clouds blowing around depending on which way the wind blew, which could be dangerous.
Yeah, those in the United States.
Where are the nuclear power plants? I don't have a chart and a map. I know there's none in Hawaii. But on the mainland, it could be a big problem. And of course, the problem in Hawaii is that we get a lot of our stuff from the mainland on cargo ships. And I'm going to assume that if the internet goes down, then all the shipping will go down too.
Oh yes, you will not get any of that. You'll be done.
Well, I agree with that. I have a good stockpile, but I'm not prepared for a nuclear winter or a volcanic winter or an EMP winter where there's going to be 10 years of I don't have 10 years of food supply, but you were saying you have 4 years of food at your place.
Really,
I would venture.
That's pretty good. I got to say, that's pretty good.
What it really comes down to is footwear, because I'm gonna need a really good pair of boots and a couple extra pair of dry socks because it's a long walk to Dusty's.
Yeah, you could make it in a day or two, though.
Well, he's got kids and stuff, and he's got to bring all of his guns. He's got to carry all of his guns. Is any of your guys' automobiles going to work without
guns for him too?
But is any of your automobiles going to work without if the computer chips get fried in an EMP?
I don't even think my motorcycle would fire up. Nope.
Really?
Yeah, because it's got a solid state regulator, so that would fry. It's in a gel pack, it'd fry. So, but the battery
bicycles?
would fry. Bicycle? Who the hell rides bicycles? Children.
You can make it to people ride bicycles. You can make it to Dusty's place on a bicycle faster than you could on foot.
Okay, Mr. Schwinn frickin' Armstrong, who told you to drive a bike?
I used to bicycle ride 90 miles a day when I was a lot younger.
Nah, we'll walk.
I have enough bikes to make it to your house, Squib. So,
But you don't want to bug out to Squib's house.
I'll meet you halfway.
okay. No, we ride. My family rides bicycles quite a bit, so I'm not gonna get in that argument.
So the thing is, if you were to trek to a place that you knew would be safe, like if I were to bring my family down to your place, Dusty, we would need to all be armed because we would literally walk the highway to the expressway, walk the expressway to the highway, and walk the highway down to your farm. And it's a long walk, but we would stay on the roads because they're probably going to be the most direct path. And we just walk next to or around all the vehicles that are shut down on the side of the road. Well, there are going to be other people that are going to be using the road to get wherever they think they're going, or they're going to try to follow the crowd or whatnot. If some of those people try to attack us, that's where we'd need our firearms, is to protect ourselves. Even if we just had them slung over our shoulder to say, hey, don't mess with us, that's all it would take.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
There's going to be, if there was such, if the EMP threat becomes a reality and they were actually able to successfully use it and it did shut down things, there's going to be the haves and the have-nots. And the have-nots are going to be all the people that voted for gun control, and now they're going to be going, damn, why did I do that? But you got to think about all the people that need electricity to survive, like for medical care or things like that. All the people who, I mean, just there's all kinds of the hospitals would be totally shut down, and some people have devices in their home to help them get by, or the people that can't walk that far, if there was a place for them to go and they couldn't walk it and they didn't have access to a horse or something else like that, they're not, because the vehicles won't start, they wouldn't be able to physically handle the strain. Some people can't make it down the street. So yeah, I think that's where they're coming up with those statistics for the 90% of the people would die, is all the people who.
Well, I think it's a lot of starvation if the just-in-time food delivery system fails. I mean, and how is Dusty going to do any farming if he can't get his tractor and his combine and all that other stuff?
He doesn't have to farm. He doesn't have to farm enough stuff to feed 50,000 people. He just has to farm enough stuff to feed 5.
Yes. Well, we have an economy of scale where agriculture corporations feed most of the people in America. So if that fails, then a lot of people are going to die.
So at that point, Dusty his mission is to defend his farm to protect his family. And if he doesn't produce as much as he could because he doesn't have the industrial stuff, because that all got taken out by the EMP, that's all fine. All he's got to do is produce enough for his family and maybe produce enough to bait in some deer. But I mean,
and that's kind of why I said that I would survive longer if I had Squib here with me, because I would have another person that knew how to use a gun with me. You know, because that's where it's going to be. We're going to fight. If you have, you're going to fight people that do not have.
Yes, and that's what it's really going to come down to. The other thing too is it's not just having a gun; it's having other skills. I mean, if there was some doctor who was trying to get his family out, and I mean, this guy was a real honest to goodness doctor. He wasn't just, I don't know, pharmacy tech or something. No offense to pharmacy techs or whatnot, but I mean, he's a real honest to goodness doctor. That might be somebody that's valuable. That's we're saying, all right, fine, I'm going to give you a place to live and food to eat, because you're going to, if somebody gets hurt, you damn well better keep them alive or you're out of here, you know, or just other skills like that. I mean, being able to fix stuff with hand tools, is a useful thing, or being able to do things like purify water or start a fire. There are people who cannot start a fire without a cigarette lighter. They just don't know how. So you're going to have a lot of people dying not just because they're getting marauded by other people that are trying to take their stuff, but you can have people that just have no clue. They don't know what to do without a cell phone. So,
Yes,
I guess where I was coming from is I thought there was probably more than 10% of people like us.
you know, I don't think there is. I just don't. I've met so many people that have just disappointed me as to how they're not resourceful, they're not tough, they're not. It's like if they don't get their latte and pedicure every day, they don't know how to make it through life, and it's just like, really?
Well, I can make it without coffee, but I prefer not to.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer not to as well. But I mean, I'm saying there are people that just. I mean, if you were with a group of people, and you were trying to walk to someplace you knew was safe, and it was a long walk, and everybody was going to have to, stay on the expressway and go kind of every so at night they'd have to shelter underneath.
That's three you knows in one sentence. Now you guys are slagging me for saying
yeah. See what's happening, but I mean, you're gonna have somebody who's going, I'm not sleeping underneath this tree. Well, what are you gonna do? Stay at the Holiday Inn Express? Okay, we're out here in the middle of nowhere. It's better that we try to shelter in place, and then tomorrow morning we're gonna get up and do some more walking, and then halfway through somebody's gonna go, I'm hungry. I'm not going any further. All right, you know what, you little pansy, you stay here and die. We're gonna keep walking.
Were you gonna say that to your kids?
No, I'm not talking about my kids. I'm saying if you were in a group of people. No, my kids would be like, damn it, boy, you better get your ass in gear and get going because this ain't happening. All right, there's.
You just with your kid to say Dusty's got like a Nintendo at his house.
Yeah, right.
Let's go.
He has the internet. Yeah, but I'm saying if you decided to travel in a group and there were people going, please, we want to come with you, and I don't know, you decided to be a humanitarian, you're going to have these people, and they're probably going to be wearing scarves too, that are just going to be wussing out, and they're going to, I can't handle it, I can't make it, I'm not going any further, I can't eat that, I can't go without this. What are we, oh, I'm hot, oh, I'm sunburned, oh, I can't, my feet hurt. Oh, well, if you didn't wear those designer shoes, instead had some decent boots, I'm just saying there are so many people out there. It's like, I can't leave my Lexus. Well, your Lexus won't start, dude. I can't. Well, maybe AAA will come. Dude, there's no AAA. Look around you. There's 500 cars that aren't running in the expressway. I mean, there are people that can't function. It's awful. It's just terrible.
All right, I want to give a shout out to Jesse James and the External on YouTube, and I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's her Io. Well, how do I pronounce that? Okay, somebody's gonna have to tell. Maybe Oily knows how to pronounce that, but Iovose? I don't know. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. So let's see.
Hey, I see. Also looking. Rupan's been looking for a link.
Oh, okay. Let me drop one again. Is he in the Gun channel side?
Yeah.
All right. I think it's right here. There's a link. I don't see.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at the text chat. I would have sent him over a link.
Yeah, I just posted a text chat, a link on the Gun channel side if anyone is interested in joining the panel. So is your plan to bug out to Dusty's place if there's an EMP?
I don't know. Is that if that's an invite? Maybe. Yeah. I mean.
Well, you better make a plan in advance because you won't be able to text him after the EMP.
The best plan we can have.
Well, okay. Here's the thing.
Right?
I've only been out there once, right? And the address is on my phone. Even if my phone fried and I didn't have GPS, I could find my way there with landmarks. How many people have that skill? And I'm not saying it's a great skill. This is the way people did things back in the day. There are so many snowflakes out there who they wouldn't know what to do without a GPS. So if I come knocking on your door a week after the shit hits the fan, just don't stick your 450 in my face, please.
Well, I watched him attack a dryer once with his AR, and I know he could help me.
Well, okay, in my defense, when I got up there, I was going to jab that thing with the bayonet, and then I thought about it, and I go, what if I break this bayonet? It's $100. So I did about the most limp-wristed bayonet stab that you will ever see me do.
Which brings me to
Oh,
the
and
knife that
I
you
gotta
should have
tell you,
attacked
Cliff.
with, because I got a new knife. I also got some pull string perimeter alarms, but I'm gonna skip that and go to the cool blade that I ordered. It's not here yet. It's the M48 Cyclone. I'll just screen share something on it real quick. Hasn't arrived yet. It's coming FedEx. I guess that's how Bud K sells these things. But here it is. It's this nasty looking spiraling tri-edge spiraling fixed blade. It's got a skull crusher, glass breaker pommel on the pommel, and this is a nasty, wicked blade. Just leaving incredible. It's for taking out. It's a combat knife for taking people off the battlefield, and if they don't get proper medical attention, chances of infection could be pretty high with a wound like this. It'd be very hard to stitch closed without training, or even with it. But anyway, this particular, hopefully it's just one of those shit hit the fan survival daggers or whatever you want to call it. But
are you
it's
going to do a
nasty
review
looking
on it?
No.
What?
Why? YouTube is just going to ban it anyway. So
Call it a kitchen
this
utensil
knife
and they
is
won't ban it.
this knife is illegal. They won't ship it to Maryland or New Jersey.
Just title it that you're coring a pineapple, right? How to core a pineapple with an M48 Cyclone, and they won't know.
How to core a pineapple. Okay. Well, yeah, if I put it on the code. But they pretty much demonetized everything except for my Mountain House review. So anyway, I won't get into all that. But it's a cool knife. I got it, and I got some perimeter popper alarms too to add to my prepper stash of perimeter alarms. They're like $5 for a pack of 75, I think. So anyway, it wasn't too expensive compared to other knives that I have. I have more expensive knives than this one, but never enough knives is kind of my motto. So this has been on my list for a while. Anyway, so much for that one. Back to my page here. All right, so for Halloween, you guys doing anything with your kids or?
Quincy has a parade tomorrow night, and which is in the band and plays in the parade. So I'm sure we'll go watch the parade.
Just trick or treating.
That's cool. Yeah, I got my candy all prepared for any trick-or-treaters.
There, Squib, you have your invite at some place, and you've got a permanent text invite.
That's cool.
Aw. Nothing says welcome like something in the internal chat.
So other than that, I don't know. Do you have a Faraday cage on your farm where you can keep any electronic like radios or something safe from EMP? You ever give any thought to that?
No, not really. I don't know what they do in a metal building.
So what
Metal
I'm
grain
thinking you
bin.
could do, you go to
They aren't too expensive to build. I've never built one.
go to Tractor Supply or something, and you get one of those metal pails. Get a lid for it, and then you get that aluminum foil tape, and whatever you're going to put it in there. Put the lid on it. Put the foil tape on. I think that will work. As that, or get a trash can with a metal trash can with a lid, and do the same thing with the foil tape. I think you have to put cardboard on the inside so it can't touch the metal or something. And that's
Do you need a copper rod to ground it? Do you need a copper rod to ground
I
it?
don't think so. I don't think so. I think as long as it's inside a sealed metal box, but it's not touching the metal, you're okay.
a sealed metal box. What if in insulation? What if I took a cell phone in one of my grain bins and stuck it down in the grain right in the middle of that bin? I mean, you would have foot of insulation.
Well, the problem with putting a cell phone inside the Faraday cage is that it won't help at all if all the cell phone towers go down because they're not protected. I mean, you might be better off with the radio. Yeah, with the radio. Basically, my understanding is that the modern electronics are a million times more sensitive to than anything used to be when they did the original air burst tests in the 1960s. Electronics are just way more sensitive to electromagnetic interference than they used to be.
Yeah, I mean,
I know, like, if I walk in one of my grain bins, I lose signal. I lose everything on that phone. So that's telling me that waves will not penetrate it. So our radio waves, magnetic forces.
So your barn is a big Faraday cage, is what you're saying?
Well, not my barn. I'm talking about my grain bins.
Grain bins, okay.
the silos.
You know.
Well, then
My
yeah,
si-
you could just
well, you guys-
bury some radios and cell phones and a laptop in a grain bin, and then to the EMP you dig them out. Just don't forget and sell your grain to somebody and accidentally give them all that stuff with the grain.
Wouldn't go through the augers very well.
See, my
I would
understanding,
I'd be shuffled.
my understanding was that the EMP would take out pretty much anything that wasn't in a sealed insulated metal container where it passes around it, and that might qualify as a sealed insulated metal container. But people are like in that John Travolta movie where he steals that nuclear weapon and he's got it on the train at the end. They detonated one of the nuclear weapons to get to create an EMP, and they're in a Humvee, and he says just turn it off, and he shuts off the ignition to the Humvee. The nuclear blast goes off, and the EMP passes, and then they turn the Humvee back on. As far as I know, an EMP would fry a battery too. I don't think just because the ignition is turned off means that the device is safe. If it's
is this picture you have on your screen share from a future planned invasion of North Korea?
This might be
Imperial walkers.
Actual future footage of what happens if they don't back down. Yes.
Yeah, so we have to send the walkers across. Obviously, it's winter.
Yes,
so this is like
winter
the
in
Chosen
Korea all the
Reservoir.
time. Yes, this is the second battle of the Chosen Reservoir, and this time, it's not.
We
it's
have
not
walkers.
yes,
Imperial walkers.
It's not a
across the
fighting with
EMP.
awe. It's a devastating advance.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
people
sure-
don't want us to use nukes. We don't. There's nothing. Nobody ever said don't use Imperial walkers. So
I will stencil a giant eagle globe and anchor on the side of one of these things and go to town. Yes.
why don't you build one of these on your farm, Dusty? You could build one, can't you? An Imperial walker.
No, wait a minute. Now that would be better than a hedgehog. You have to admit.
Well, yeah. If energy has energy weapons, shields, and of course, they make a big. I don't know if his buildings can withstand all the earth shaking from when those things won't move around.
Yeah, you couldn't hide it. That's for sure.
My plans tonight was to weld up some stands for the steel targets I got in the mail today. Since
Where'd you get your steel targets from?
I ordered them off eBay, but Hawaii and Squib and everybody was here shooting, and Hawaii 45 brought a bunch of steel targets.
Hawaii
after we shot at those-
Ohio 45. Ohio 45.
Yeah, Ohio 45.
Don't get your states mixed
brought
up.
a bunch of steel targets, and we shot at them. And after that, I decided I had to have some, so I got.
Yeah, they are nice.
Yeah, that was
today, and I was going to weld up a stand to hang them on. Shooting range would be more fun.
Yeah, I have the shoot steel targets. I like the new ones that they sell are angled. So they have a slight angle down, so when you shoot them, the bullets just bounce downwards towards the ground. And you don't get any excessive bounce the bullets bouncing back at you. In your direction.
And that's
They
what
just
I was
bounce
trying to
down.
design today. What I spent all day planning is how to do that.
Yeah,
So
Shooting Steel sells them like that, so you don't have to do anything. But I guess you didn't get them from Shoot Steel. So
when you're cheap, you design your own.
well, penny saved is penny earned. Somebody said that.
Hey, let's get
Speaking
this
of which-
back to this. Let's get this back to subject.
Oh, I was going to mention that
I
Bitcoin
have a
hit
question.
6,300 over the weekend, but go ahead.
I have a question. You know, Trump is supposed to go to make an Asia trip here shortly. Should he go and stand at the demilitarized zone just like everybody else has, like Pence did and like Mateus did this weekend, and make a statement?
Yeah, but he should stand on top of an Abrams tank when he gives the statement. I don't mean like in the commander's. I mean, he should just stand on the tank.
You want him to be like Dukakis?
No, Dukakis was riding in the tank. I want him to stand on the tank. Like, here, wait, where's my? I need to dig out the picture.
Now, wouldn't it be better if he came up in an AT-AT and just opened the hatch and
well,
said, we're here?
Yeah, but I don't think we have those yet. That we haven't built the Imperial Walkers yet.
We're working on them.
And the trip is too
Look,
soon for them. to have
DARPA
the
is
trip.
all over this. I am telling you.
Yeah, I'm dealing
But,
with
you know,
my download
everybody
folders
else
now.
is all over him, telling him that that's too dangerous, that he cannot make a statement like that. But to me, him looking across the line and saying face to face, you could ever make.
My download folder has got so many. It's out of control. I have a picture of Trump standing on a tank, but it's just an artistic thing from a T-shirt from the last election campaign. But it's a pretty good one. My download folder didn't have a million pictures in it. Maybe I could find it.
Maybe Trump there with an M4 at the low ready.
He needs to go full Jesse Ventura with the minigun. Trump with a minigun. That would be pretty cool.
There's some things that are distinctly American, and people can say bad stuff about those things, but I don't really care. I mean, we are who we are, and when the world's in trouble, they come to us. So you got to take the good with the bad. If some people think that that's a little bit overbearing, oh well. He's sending a statement to our enemies. He's telling them, back off. And maybe he's doing it and it looks like a publicity stunt or whatever, and you're going to have the people that are for him going, he's so cool, and you're going to have the people against him going, oh, he's a warmonger.
Here's something like this. How do you think this one would look?
Let's see. Yeah, now see, that would be cool. That would be really cool. But you see, somebody could say bad things about this, but the reality of it is an image like this does tell our enemies, don't mess with us because the boss carries a Barrett. You know, I mean, it's at the end of the day, that man's job is to keep us all safe. And if he's going over there and part of his message while he's over there is, hey, look, I'm coming over here to assess the threat myself, or I'm coming over here look, I'm not afraid. I mean,
what I like about this picture is if you look at the barrel, it says you're fired on the barrel of the tank.
Nice. Nice. But you know what? I mean, I wouldn't have a problem if this was a few years ago and they had the same image and that was Obama on there and he was going, nope, I'm going over to Korea and I'm going to go over there and I'm going to talk to them folks and we're going to go ahead and let them know we mean business. I would.
We only have one president at a time, so
I know we only have one, but I'm saying for the people that would say, "Oh, it's just because it's Trump." It's just because no, I don't care who the man is, as long as he's got America's best interests in mind. And right now, with all this stuff's going on, all these people that are afraid, maybe it is up to the president to say, all right, look, I'm going to go show everybody I'm not afraid. So I don't really care who the president is as long as they're doing the right thing. So if this is supposed to kind of send a message to the Koreans by him being over there, the North Koreans in particular, then the president's doing his job. But
yeah, of course, Imperial Walkers would be really cool. I think we should build those.
Yeah.
But I mean, and if we
But,
run over,
okay.
I mean, is anybody going to stand oppose the United States after we build Imperial Walkers and overrun a country with them? And in
You guys are dreaming there. Let's get back to topic.
well, that is kind of the topic. Yeah, dealing with North Korea as an EMP weapon. Of course, we could say it's prepping for it, but
Do we have anything close to those Imperial Walkers right now?
no, but we're working on it. We're working on
Okay.
it.
Well, that's what this block and load is for. We have to come up with the ideas to save the free world. Because we know that
What
Trump
if-
listens to our show.
Wait, what?
Yeah, well, I mean, don't you remember when we had that we said America's locked and loaded, and Trump said America's locked and loaded.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So he gets all his great ideas from the show that I expect we should be having Imperial Walkers built up before the wall is built.
Yeah, tomorrow he's going to have a meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff and be like, I've got this idea. All right, call me crazy, but what if we had these giant machines, right? And they could just stomp them, right? They got cannons all over the place, and they're armored, and the EMP can't stop them. I'm telling you, it'll be bigly, and
Go find Squib, go find Dusty, and go find Hawaii and round them up.
all right, I want
We're
each
in
one.
trouble.
each one of these-
I'll command the first division of Imperial Walkers across the DMZ. And Squib can take the do you want the north or you want the east or west flank?
I'm going back to the Chosin Reservoir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It should be like the Marines have landed again. So gonna land at Incheon, and we're just gonna go right up through there. So
All right, we'll try and stop short of the Yalu.
what's this?
Don't like go up to the Yalu, wave, and say, "Hey, China," and then they send everything at you.
Stan saying, I can see Imperial Walkers broke down on the side of the road now. Why? Because the cheapest contractor made the bid, and
No, they'll use like chips from China, and so they'll come in with their own malware.
oh,
Preloaded.
is there a service walker that brings up the rear? Yeah. So when you've got the tanks and the armor personnel carriers or the Bradleys and whatnot advancing right behind them, they've got all the trucks with the fuel and the parts and the mechanics, and they got the food and the ammo and the medical people and communications, and everything's behind them. And if you advance too far ahead of your supply lines, of course you're going to have problems. It's happened all throughout military history where they've advanced too far, and they've run out of ammo and fuel and all this other stuff. So yeah, if we have decent support service behind these walkers. I guess we didn't think that far through.
Well, maybe we can't build our own walkers, but we could have a walker support company ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can fix your car, you should be able to fix a walker if it breaks down.
That's true. Yeah. Well, with enough heavy equipment, I suppose. I mean,
You would need one hell of a jack.
Yeah. No kidding.
Really,
So
the walkers wouldn't be that hard to design, though. You could do all that with hydraulics very easily.
Yeah. I could see that. The reason they don't have something like this is because somebody has said it was impractical. Because I remember reading a book when I was in
Put
elementary
DARPA on
school.
it. Just
Well, I
put
remember
DARPA on
reading a
it.
book when I was in elementary school about how they filmed Star Wars. And they were saying that the Army was actually interested in the Jawa Sandcrawler, which was just a set that Lucas had built showing these gigantic treads and this gigantic
No, it was a tank. It was, it was a tanked vehicle or tracked
The
vehicle.
Army in the book, it said the Army actually approached Lucas about this thing. Now I don't know if that was just some scuttlebutt in the book or whatnot, or just, but sometimes, I mean,
Well,
sometimes
that was before Desert Storm. That was they knew there was going to be a war in the desert. So
they just thought it was really cool.
well, an X-wing fighter would be really cool, but we haven't built one yet. You could just take off and fly up from planet to planet.
But I guess I just don't see, to make something like that walk with hydraulics, you could do that very easily.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem at all.
It wouldn't be a major. I mean, even a farmer could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's really big, okay, fine. You'd have to probably build it in something the size of a shipyard or whatnot, but yeah. What would you power it with? Probably a diesel engine, actually. You'd probably have an industrial diesel engine in there.
Diesel?
Powering. Yeah.
I think those have some kind of nuclear power.
Well, yeah, but
energy.
The reality of making something that size that would actually walk and be balanced enough that it wouldn't fall over real easy. What sort of, I'd say you power diesel electric like a locomotive or something.
It'd have to be some kind of fly-by-wire system to keep it balanced and not tip over. But
I would say that center section, you wouldn't be able to keep troops in there that you could just fast rope down and all that, because it'd be packed full of everything it takes to run the thing. I think it'd be more of a shock and awe weapon.
like Hannibal's elephants were.
Yeah, you could mount weapons on it, but you'd have to be careful how these things are loaded, because it's not like you can just crouch down and have somebody reload it. So
well, these were energy weapons on. They didn't.
Yeah,
have
but I'm saying you could probably build these things now, but we obviously wouldn't have some sort of power source that would make
Well, we have energy weapons like ready to deploy on the new aircraft carrier, but it requires 2 nuclear power plants on the carrier to power it. So I don't think you put 2 power plants on a Walker.
I'm just saying it seems far-fetched, but I know we have the technology right now that we could build something like that if we wanted to.
I would think you would power it with some sort of diesel engine, or do diesel electric like a locomotive, or use a jet turbine or something to power it and whatnot. It would be, it'd be more like Hannibal's elephant, so it'd be more shock and awe. But you'd have to put conventional guns on it. You'd have to put missile launchers.
I imagine if the North Koreans saw that coming, if they didn't die laughing, they would start running if they saw energy weapons being shot out of it. Because I don't think energy weapons have been used on them on a battlefield like these things did in the movie. But of course, in the movie, everybody had energy weapons. So,
and that's the way it should be.
Well, I settle for a lightsaber myself, but
okay, Dusty, this would be funny. We could all get blasters except Hawaii. They're limited to just lightsabers.
Yeah, I'm sure that they would pass some stupid law like that in Hawaii. But you can still carry a samurai sword in Hawaii. I once saw a guy with one bicycling on up Red Road in Puna. And he had a samurai sword in his backpack. So, of course, it's harder to conceal a samurai sword than it is to put a gun in your backpack. But whatever.
No, see, because at that point, if a cop stopped you and said, "Is that a sword in your backpack?" You just use a Jedi mind trick, and you go, "That is not a sword in my backpack," and he'll go, "That is not a sword in your backpack."
Well, swords aren't illegal. If it was double-edged sword, it would be illegal. But if it just had the samurai sword isn't double-edged, so it's legal. So I imagine that everybody will run out and buy a samurai sword now, which would be fine. They work. They've worked for thousands of years. But people have pretty much switched to firearms nowadays. So, and this is Gun Channel's show, so.
Yeah. So, quit talking about the edge weapons.
Quit talking about edge weapons. Oh, I am a knife guy. I can't help that.
Yeah, you are.
I've got guns too. I mean,
Okay, so look, if we take walkers across the DMZ, Stan has just volunteered himself to bring in the mechanics and the fuel and rearm them. And okay, maybe I just volunteered Stan, but he's he's our service support group.
all right. Well, I'm still interested in how these energy weapons are going to work. Or the shields, for that matter.
Just armor it up. Just make it like a walking battleship.
Well, it kind of had the head. It instead of it didn't have a turret. It had a head that rotated like a head and not a turret. And I mean, all of our tanks have turrets. They've been built that way since Renault built the first turret on a tank in World War I.
Yep.
So, here's a tactical pop quiz. Where? Speaking of elephants, who did the first? Who, and where was the first military double envelopment battle occur in military history?
I skipped the war college on that day, so I don't know the answer.
Okay, let's see if anybody on the Gun Channel side or the YouTube knows what military battle in military history involved the first double envelopment. See if anybody gets that one. I'll give them 5 minutes. I think about 70,000 men were killed in this battle in a matter of 6 or 7 hours. And the hint, it was with spears and swords. I'm going to see if anybody out there has any guesses. Let me take a look. Blasters are cruel and clumsy, so uncivilized. Okay. I don't know if anybody's going to get this one. First double envelopment in military history. I'll give another hint in a minute. Nobody gets it.
The Google foo is not with you.
Well, it's not an easy one, like what gun was used in what movie or anything.
And it was also before my time.
I think it was before all of our times.
Yes, it was definitely before your time. It was after the dinosaurs, however, so.
Okay.
First double envelopment battle in military history.
Hmm.
I don't see anybody. I'm going to give another hint in a second.
Was it during a Punic War?
You're getting close. It was the first battle of annihilation. Because it was a double envelopment. So. And it was definitely, if you were familiar with Vietnam, this battle was way before Vietnam. It was, if you heard the phrase, you can win all the battles, so like U.S. won all the battles but lost the war. This was similar. One last look on the Gun Channel side. So it was the first battle of annihilation. No, it wasn't the Spartans and the Persians. And the Spartans didn't attack the Persians. They they were defending a little pass, a narrow pass, Thermopylae. If that's the battle you're referring to. But no, this This did not occur in Greece. Okay, should I just assume that nobody's going to get it and tell the answer at this point? Battle for Way City. No, it wasn't Way. You spelled Way wrong. That wasn't a double envelopment.
Yeah, he did spell way wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now he spelled it. Oh, Squib, you spelled it right. So. Okay, yeah, I'll just say what the answer is.
It was a phonetic spelling. It's okay. It's an acceptable answer for this show.
Phonetic spelling isn't. Okay, well, it was the Battle of Cannae. Basically, what happened was Rome had they had a military general that they put in charge when Hannibal was raiding up and down Italy, and Hannibal had promised to burn Rome to the ground to his father, but the general that they put in charge wouldn't come out and fight Hannibal. He said he was just like, well, we're just gonna let him starve. We're not going to go out and give him an army to fight because he'll win and we'll lose. And so it was working, and after a couple of years, they put 2 civilian people in charge of the army. And one guy was in charge the one day and the other guy was in charge the very next day. So it was kind of, and one of the guys wanted to go out and fight Hannibal and the other one didn't. But so eventually the army went out to fight at Cannae, and Hannibal destroyed the 60,000 or 70,000 men in a period of, with spears and swords in a period of 6 or 7 hours. And that was the first double envelopment in military history. What Hannibal did was he formed a kind of arcing semicircle, and he was leading the center in the center, and he had his other troops were on his flanks, were kind of farther back. It wasn't a straight line, and the Romans basically just either moved forward or back in a straight line. So Hannibal gave ground intentionally, and he sent his cavalry towards the rear to defeat the Roman cavalry, which he outnumbered their cavalry. And so as Hannibal gave ground, his flanks were still strong because they weren't even in the battle, and they just pretty much formed a semicircle. It started as a semicircle one way, and it wound up as a semicircle enveloping the Romans, and then the cavalry, Hannibal's cavalry, after defeating the Roman cavalry, attacked from behind. And so it was the first double envelopment at the Battle of Cannae in military history. And they basically just killed Romans in about 6 or 7 hours. They killed about 70,000 Romans with spears and swords. So that's a lot of killing in a very short time. And they decided after that battle not to come out and fight Hannibal. And Hannibal won all the battles, but he never burned Rome to the ground. And he could never complete the conquest. And he never wanted to make peace with Rome, but he could never burn it to the ground because they would come out and fight. And he didn't have the resources to lay siege to Rome. And so he won all the battles, but he was defeated in the war because they just wouldn't come out and fight him anymore. So that was our military pop quiz, or whatever you want to call it. So the Battle of Cannae in Rome, or in Italy, not in Rome. Yeah, that was about, I think it was 200 kilometers or 300 kilometers south of Rome. You can look it up on a map if you want to see what Cannae actually is. Cannae.
Hey, Jared.
Hey,
Hey, Jared made it in? Cool.
I made it.
Awesome. What's up, man?
Nothing much, just driving home from school. Enjoyed it.
All right. Well, did you get our Did you get the pop quiz?
I know I just came in now. I missed it.
Oh, it was the first double in military development in history. You know, battle.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
The first double envelopment battle in military history.
Cool.
You know what it was?
You just.
Yeah, I know. I just said it. Okay. Well, it's Battle of Cannae, Rome versus Hannibal. So.
He did not burn the city to the ground.
Well, yeah, the battle wasn't. The battle was on a field. He didn't. He promised his father he would burn Rome to the ground, but he never did that. He could never. He lost the war, but he won all the battles. So that was Hannibal.
Nice.
So anyway, which is what I assume. I don't know what's going to happen. It's the whole thing about North Korea and the EMP is that war has never ended. There was only an armistice signed, so technically we're kind of still at war with them. We've had an armistice. That was all that was signed. So if Trump wants to go throw a rock across the DMZ, it's okay with me.
He could just say he's skipping a stone across a pond. He's not really throwing rocks.
Did you guys talk about how all the liberals are so excited today because
Papadopoulos. What kind of silly name is Papadopoulos? I mean,
oh, is this that whole Russian thing? Is this going to go away, or are we going to just keep wasting time on nothing?
we're going to keep wasting time on nothing.
Well, like my biggest thing is they have proof that the DNC funded the Russian dossier.
Yes, but we can't. But the problem is we can't impeach Hillary Clinton.
I know, but like my thing is though, everybody's so worked up about this, and I'm like, you got proof that they colluded with two different governments. I was like, what more do you guys?
Yeah, they took $110 million from owners of Uranium One, but we can't impeach Hillary Clinton. So, like, what's the point in proving anything at this point, unless you want to shut down the Clinton Foundation or something? But
well, and then you haven't seen Facebook status updates today from people who are liberals.
Manafort determined that was what 10, 15 years ago that he made the deal with Russia. At the time, he wouldn't even have been in Trump's cabinet.
Well,
so.
The point is, I think Papadopoulos already pled guilty to something, but other than having a silly name. But I think Papadopoulos was just an unpaid volunteer on the Trump campaign. But whatever.
Right. He
sounds a little like George Stephanopoulos, except it's George Papadopoulos. And so
movie.
But I swear you couldn't get. I think one guy. It's like Squibb with the word bomb on that. It's like the people on the network news channels can't. They want to see how many times they could put Papadopoulos into one sentence. Doesn't make any sense.
I watched a good thing the other day from John Stossel, and he brought up a lot of the major talking points that left-wing news has against Trump. And he actually, I couldn't believe it, but he actually, because I didn't think he was really a Republican, but he, like one of the famous ones is when they say he mocked a disabled reporter. Now, it does look like he mocked a disabled reporter, but they bring up a bunch of other footage of him doing the same thing for other people. Like, that's kind of like almost his mannerism. Like, they brought up like 2 or 3 other instances where he's done almost the same thing with his hands, talking about people who aren't disabled.
Oh, is this the thing with how big his hands are, or his hands aren't very big? So
no, it's about the mocking. It's about mocking of the disabled. And they brought up some other points too.
What was that? The movie in Casino? Are you mocking me? Was that? What actors had that line?
Are you talking about Joe Pesci?
Yeah.
I thought that was in Goodfellas. I'm a clown.
Goodfellas.
I'm clown here. I'm here to amuse you. What makes me
But
so
you know,
funny?
the thing that what's not being brought up, stock market has been hitting record highs. We have lowest jobless rate since 1972 right now.
It might have a
So
little bit to do with the fact that a businessman is in office, maybe.
it
Yeah,
might have.
and Clinton isn't in office.
So, okay, with all this Russia garbage, how much is this costing the taxpayers?
oh,
Couldn't we send
let
that
me-
money down to Puerto Rico, or
Okay, you were going to tear
Oh,
apart
unbelievable.
this movie, and because this is a movie I saw last night, and I really like the gunfights, but you're telling me everything in Django Unchained
Okay,
is
Django
wrong?
takes place in the 1860s, and all of the guns that they're using in the gunfights that I saw were percussion revolvers. However, all you hear is brass cases hitting the floor. First off, they're revolvers. So they don't even eject like an automatic. Next, they're cap and ball. There is no brass case.
Obviously, the sound effect editor and
Plus-
mixer didn't know that.
These guys are jumping and shooting, and I don't know if you've ever shot a cap and ball revolver. They don't shoot that fast. They're not that accurate. I mean, look at my.
Well, he had two guns in the gunfight, and he was shooting two revolvers.
I understand that, and I have double fisted, and it's not really that hard to do in my opinion. However, they were trying to make Civil War handguns function like 21st century handguns, and it's just
Well, I
whatever.
do like when he blew up the plantation house at the end. That was a pretty climactic thing, and his girlfriend was like thumbs up and everything.
Yeah, they just lowered the real estate value. That's all.
Well, I thought Leonardo DiCaprio made a pretty good, did pretty good job as a evil slave plantation owner.
Yeah, I didn't even know he'd be around to be in a movie. I thought he died on that damn boat. So, the fact that he's still making movies is.
Then you guys see Wolf of Wall Street. He's pretty hilarious in that movie.
That's been on. I have to watch that one of these days. I haven't got around to that, but I like what's on the back of this DVD. It says "Life," which is why I picked it up. It was in the $5 bin at Walmart. Life, liberty, and pursuit of vengeance. I really like that.
Yeah, isn't he like an ex-slave turned bounty hunter, and he's going back
Yes,
to get his wife or his girlfriend or something, and he had papers to free her. I forget.
Well, he didn't have papers. They bought them. That negotiation was very intense. Negotiation where they basically Leonardo DiCaprio, puts a gun to her head and say, "She's my property. I can do whatever I want with her," and they have them at the gunpoint.
But see, that's
basically.
another misnomer, is that the slaves were necessarily mistreated. You have to understand that slaves were expensive to buy, expensive to maintain, that sort of thing. You don't. The slaves were what made the money for the plantation owners. You don't.
Well, this is a movie. It doesn't.
I understand that, but people believe movies. You don't ruin your investment. I'm not saying that the slaves could go, no, I'm not working, and nothing would happen to them. But what I'm saying is that people think that from the time they were born to the time they died, they worked them sun up to sundown and just beat them all damn day long. Well, if you whip a horse and whip a horse and whip a horse, that horse ain't going to pull the plow, and it's going to fall over dead. You have to understand. You have to maintain, and people can talk about how cruel their life was, but if you look at the way some poor sharecroppers live, they live just about as bad as slaves did, except they didn't have somebody who was providing them food and medical and clothing and stuff like that. They had to provide their own because they were free, and they didn't have.
You're not actually making an argument that slavery was.
No, what I'm saying is I don't like it when the movies portray slavery in the sense that all slave owners were like that, and that all slaves lived this. I'm not saying they lived in a lap of luxury. They didn't, but I'm saying I've never seen a movie where they compare a poor white sharecropper to the slave living on the property next door and going, hell, they both live in small huts. They both eat gruel for a living, and
I
they
think
both work all the time.
when they make a movie, they have a character and a plot, and they portray people however makes sense to the plot.
Right, and it makes a good story, but the problem
Yeah.
is the average person isn't smart enough to be objective and go, it's simply a story. Like there are people who probably believe imperial walkers are real or that Bitcoin is real. But the point being is the
Bitcoin
average
is
person,
real.
the average
Mathematics
person,
is real, dummy. Mathematics has been around for quite some time, and if you don't understand mathematics or refuse to accept that mathematics exists, then perish in ignorance. You will. The fiat currency system is doomed.
but there are people that believe movies and think what's in the movies are real. I'm sure there's probably somebody out there who thinks Superman is real.
I need to make a movie. I need to write a Bitcoin movie.
The little Bitcoin that could. I think I can.
There's people out there that think there's heat-seeking bullets because of movies.
Yeah, there are.
What movie ever had a heat-seeking bullet?
It was
The movie with Red.
Runaway,
The guy who plays
Runaway.
Red.
What?
Runaway, yeah.
Runaway?
Runaway with Tom Selleck. Yep.
Heat-seeking bullet.
And Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons was the bad guy. Yeah. There are people that believe stuff like that, and maybe one day there will be those sorts of things and whatnot. But it's the same people that take a historical event out of context, like I'm always whining and bitching about. They try to apply today's ethics to the past, and it doesn't work like that. So, but I mean, as far as entertainment value, sure, the movie was entertaining, but it's just inaccurate. That's all.
All right. Well, I'll have next time I'll watch it and I'll pay attention to the sound effects that you didn't like of brass hitting the ground out of percussion cap revolvers. But obviously, the sound effect guy just edited in because that's what they do on all firearms movies. I mean, they want it. What happens is they put it on, they edit it, they put it on, load it onto a tape. So when the mixer is mixing the film, he can use it if he wants to, whether he needs it or not. So I blame the mixer. The guy, people who was on the mix stage didn't know. They were audio mixers. They weren't firearms guys. Right.
And I'm sure that even if they were, if they're told just do it, they're going to just do it because they got to pay their bills like anybody else. It's kind of like.
Yeah, I know a guy who worked for Activision, and they asked him to make some guns, and he made like the Desert Eagle blow forward because he just didn't know.
See,
he spent like days putting together all these models, and the guns were. How many guns blow forward?
Just like I think the press has an obligation to be objective or to research the facts or to learn about what they're talking about before they go on air and talk about it. Hollywood to some degree.
Well, I gotta say, I was watching Fox News.
Fight.
Yeah, but see, if Hollywood makes a movie about something,
it's not even a question of activism. It's a question of stupidity. I was watching Fox News like at midnight or something, and they had this really hot blonde chick on, and she was just reading the teleprompter, and she said that what she was reading, she read it wrong. And what she said, it was so stupid, I just turned off the TV. It was literally that stupid. She was reading the teleprompter, and it said that the left-wing press is using uninformed military personnel. But it wasn't uninformed. What the teleprompter says was uniformed military personnel.
Well, there are some uninformed ones there, too. What I'm saying, though, is
if you can't even read the teleprompter correctly, how did you get on a job as a... No.
When they do a movie like Lord of the Rings where it's dragons and wizards and stuff like that, that stuff isn't real. When they do a movie about something that happened in history and they're just doing a story that takes place back then, I just think they have an obligation to try to have some things within certain level of accuracy, or to try to get the audience to understand the feeling of the people back then, that, they didn't live as long as we do now, or they didn't go to school as long as we do now, or, a penny could buy you a lot more back then, or whatever it is. I just feel
what I liked about in the movie in The Return of the Kings that was, I thought, the most emotional moment is when the King of Gondor leads his rallies the army before they charge. And they just don't have. It's like you don't see the president of the United States pick up a sword and scream for death and lead the charge of the cavalry. And it was just, you know, we just don't have kings like that anymore. Because if we had people like that, then everyone would follow them. And basically, in that one scene, I thought was a very good scene where the King of Gondor raises his sword, and he's had a premonition that he's going to die in this battle, and he leads the charge anyway. And it was just, but it was in the book like that, but it was very well done, and that's the part. It wasn't the weapons or the swords, it was the determination of the leaders to fight evil. And that's something that could translate through, it's something they could still do nowadays, but as far as just the determination, but that was the best scene of the movie for me.
Well, when the leaders are hanging in the back, it's supposed to be because they're too valuable to be lost because they're passing down the orders. But they gain the respect of their men when they are up front. Chesty Puller was a colonel in World War II, and he got in trouble because he'd put his command post up in the front lines, and whenever the generals would come visit, they'd be like, "What the hell are you doing? You're right on you need to be in the back," and he would constantly get in trouble for it. But his men loved him, and they'd do anything for him. And he would go and he'd grab anybody. He goes, "You're a clerk. You're a truck driver. You're a cook. Grab your rifles and get your ass up there. You're fighting too, because we're all riflemen." And his men loved him. As tough as he was, they loved him because he was not afraid to go anywhere or do anything that he asked or told his men to do. And you just don't find people like that anymore.
Well, we have citizen soldiers, and
yeah, but I mean, it's just like CEOs. They don't know what the little guy on the assembly line does. They can go down there and they can get the tour, and they can get the nice fancy stuff that they give them, little trinkets like here's some safety glasses, and here's a hard hat, and here's a lab coat. They don't wear lab coats on the assembly line, and they go down there and they go, "Okay, you put this bolt in this bracket, and look, you just made a car part." And he's like, "Look at me!" And then he goes back.
We still have assembly lines in America.
Yeah, and he goes back to the board of directors and goes, "I understand the common man." He didn't go down on that floor and work 8 or 12 hours and, put up with some of the crap. He has no idea. So it's the same way the leaders sometimes in the military are somewhat disconnected. The difference, though, is the leaders, for the most part, work themselves up, whereas in the corporate world, they don't necessarily work themselves up. So,
well, it's different.
Every officer in the military starts out as lieutenant.
Trying to think of something, the right words, but yeah. Did you ever see Charge the Light Brigade?
No, but didn't they use
Lancers?
No, I was trying to think. Didn't the officers there, they had swords and revolvers or something?
They had lances.
Not lances. You mean like pikes?
Lances. I mean, they were riding cavalry and they had lances.
We're thinking about two different battles, and we're talking about late 19th century, right?
Battle. This was in the British Empire, in fighting in India. Or Pakistan. I think Pakistan, actually. But yeah, at the end of the movie, the people that the British Lancers are attacking, the bad guys have guns and rifles, and they're attacking with lances on horseback. And their goal is to get the leader, take out the leader. And so if most of them die, as long as they kill the leader, then they win the battle, even if they all get killed. One of those things.
Charging them with lances and the bad guys got guns, that just proves gun control doesn't work. So,
well, it's a good movie anyway. You ought to check it out sometime. But in the Lord of the Rings, I like the scene of the King of Gondor leading the cavalry charge. course, they don't have cavalry charges anymore, but I did see when Trump was at the French Bastille Day, French still have mounted cavalry. I thought that was pretty cool. They had in their military Bastille Day parade down the Champs-Élysées, they had actual mounted cavalry, and I was just surprised that there were still mounted cavalry on horse, but they have them still. I think the last cavalry charge in a battle was in the Polish against German tanks in World War II, and it didn't turn out well for the cavalry.
Well, no, but I mean, you have to give them credit for trying.
I give them all the credit in the world.
The Polish got totally screwed by their allies in World War II. That was one of the things.
Well, it's they're suffering from their geographic location of having the Nazis on one side and the German and the Stalin on the other. So,
but I mean, France and England were supposed to come to their aid, and of course they didn't. And France and England were
geographically they couldn't. They didn't have. It was impossible. They couldn't militarily do it. But
yeah.
It's there was something you said that I really wanted to agree with or disagree with that had something to do with this, but I'm trying to remember what it was. I got really worked up about it, but I can't even remember what the hell it was. Give me a moment.
Did it involve saying
Probably.
Oh.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. It's coming. Give me a minute.
He's got to walk back into the other room to remember. That's the way it works.
Yeah, I know the kind.
I'm not walking anywhere. I'll probably remember it as soon as we end the broadcast. Or as soon as we go off there, it'll be, oh, I know what it was, and we'll have it in the after chat or something.
Does it involve the battle of the charge of the Light Brigade?
No.
Does it involve cap and ball revolvers?
No.
Does it involve Imperial walkers?
No.
Well, we're all done with the EMP thing, right?
Unless it happens.
Well,
in which case we won't be able to have a chat about it. You and Dusty have your plan, so
I'll be hoofing it all the way down I-94, but you'll be sitting in Hawaii with your rum and going, look at them suckers, they got no power.
Yeah, I hope they get everything sorted out on the mainland so they could get some ships to deliver some goods. Because that's where we get most of our food from.
Are you going to go out on the balcony and just yell out, "It's anarchy"?
No, I'm not. I have a plan, but it's pretty insane, so I'm not going to broadcast. But it's operational security. I can't divulge my plan to survive the apocalypse yet.
Probably a good idea.
I store diesel here on the farm, Squib, so I might come pick you up if I had to.
Well, your car has to work, though.
What do you got that will fire up if there's an EMP?
You don't think my diesel pickup would start?
No, it's got a computer in it, right?
I guess I could drive the old 4520. That doesn't have any computer at all to it. That's just a motor and a battery.
I just don't know if the battery would be protected, but if there's any computer of any sort, any circuit board, it's going to fry. So,
okay, so put a battery in a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
For whatever that is. Is that a truck?
My pickup 4520 is a tractor.
A tractor.
Yeah, tractors take a long time.
What's the top speed of your tractor?
Like 4.
An hour.
Get a bicycle, dude.
No, we'll walk. We'll walk.
You're really against bicycles that much?
Okay, look. When I'm out riding my motorcycle, the one thing that jumps out in front of me more than anything else are people on bicycles. I don't like bicycles. pedestrians don't get out. Deer don't jump in front of me as much. Cars don't jump out in front of me a bunch. But you get somebody on a bicycle, they think they own the road. It's like, what?
Yeah, well, we get a lot of that once a year here for the Kona Ironman. It gets crazy.
Yeah, we'll walk. We'll be just fine. If anybody wants to complain, I'll just smack them in the back of the head and we'll just keep walking. Or lie and say that you've got internet.
He's got Nintendo. All right, whatever it was, I'll have to try and remember it for next week's show or something because I forgot what it was. But I remember it seemed important at the time. I'll have to listen to last week's show. Maybe it was on that or the week before. I never listened to my own shows for some reason. I don't know. Maybe they aren't that good. Okay, so we've covered the EMPs. I think it's barter items. Have a plan of some sort, and don't rely on the banks. Will probably not work. So have some money, have some paper money set aside in case people still accept that trash. And because but have some barter items. Probably you don't want to sell your gold and silver during a crisis because the pawn shops will probably be trying to buy it for 50 cents on the dollar of what the spot price is. And nobody will be able to tell what the spot price is anyway if the computer systems are down, if there's no internet. The banks won't work. It'll be pretty much barter only. Cigarettes will be worth a lot of money or a lot of whatever you want to trade it for because people are addicted to that stuff and they can't live without it, they think, even though they can't.
Those.
Yeah. And just all the usual prepping stuff, but don't count on anything else working. It's pretty much the ultimate everything stops working kind of situation. All right, well, I guess we'll call this show as a wrap for now. I'll just see if there's any last shout outs I could do on the YouTube side and on them channels real quick. So I see Jesse James out there.
An informed state of mind, alcohol and coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
I definitely have my alcohol preps all sorted out.
Jesse James says, better get yourself a fishing boat.
Well, the motors won't.
You'd look like the Gordon's fisherman.
Well, if there's an EMP anywhere near Hawaii, then how are you going to start a marine fishing boat with an engine? I mean,
Yeah, well, I guess you get a rowboat and a.
Well, I was going to say there's oars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are, and all you have to do is be able to paddle out a certain for far enough. See, I don't eat the shore fish. I don't eat the shore fish because of the toxins. I'm trying to remember the name of the toxin, but it's this algae that tropical shore fish are dangerous to eat. So I only eat like tuna, deep sea tuna.
You need to go way out there and get a shark.
Well, sharks might have some of that too, but tuna is pretty much deep sea if you can catch tuna. But catching a big tuna those are like 2,000-pound fish. It's not like an easy thing to catch. I mean, shore fish are easier to catch than a tuna. I'll tell you that much. But I have seen somebody try and catch a tuna on a kayak, and it wasn't easy. I mean, once they catch a hook, they just go deep.
Hey, why not a sailboat?
Well, those what those kayaks are. If you go on YouTube, you can see people fishing off those Hobie cats. There's plenty of videos on that, and they have plenty of them here in Hawaii. But the problem is in Hawaii, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to wind up halfway to Tahiti because the tides will just drag you out. It's one of those things in Hawaii. If you don't respect the power of nature, it will kill you. And if you go into the oceans, the tides will take you out beyond your ability to get back to shore. and it's living on the open ocean is not an easy thing to do in a little kayak. So if you do catch a big fish, be careful a shark doesn't come up at the last moment and take the fish and you with it, because there's apex predators out there in addition to the tides. So
Yeah, but grilled shark steak tastes pretty good.
yeah, I guess if you can, you live in a fishing town, right, Jared?
I lived in 2 different fishing towns. I currently live in the town where the wishes came from.
You're thinking he lives
witches.
in Gloucester. He lives in Salem. He's inland. He's not in Gloucester.
Well, I used to live in Lynn and Marblehead, and we used to fish out of Lynn.
How far is that
And
from
I fished
Weymouth?
Out of Marblehead. Pretty far.
Okay, other side.
Yeah, I think Weymouth is the other side.
Okay.
It really bugging me that I can't remember what it was that I so drastically disagreed with you, Squib, about.
Look, if you disagreed with me, it couldn't have been important because I don't ever say anything good or useful. So
I don't know about that. Anyway, thanks everybody for showing up at Lock and Load once again. It's our pleasure to talk about nonsense for an hour or two every Monday evening, or I don't know what time it is now that we're doing it a little earlier, so you guys can actually go to sleep. What's that you got up there, Squib? Or that's Jared. Let's see. Oh, you got some gun channels patches?
Some Old West stuff.
I mean, I don't hit you. Present.
Let me put this down. Let me open the package up. I tried to wait.
Oh, you got the old West guns deck? Cool.
I tried to wait to go to school. I tried to wait as long as I could. The mail was late today.
Oh, so you're just waiting for this mail to arrive so you can check out. It's got the pistol patch, a PVC. It looks like a skull, cattle skull.
Yeah, pretty cool. Can't wait to open it up.
Some stickers. Well, what are you waiting for?
All right.
I got you on presentation before we call it the end of the show.
Let me put this down for a sec. Just get it open here.
Sure.
I can't do it one-handed, apparently. Here we go. All right. Pretty cool.
What? I can't see anything right now. Is that the deck? The cards? Okay. Gatling gun. I can get one of those in Hawaii. They're legal. They just cost a fortune.
The Joker card.
Joker. Mississippi rifle. Ace.
Cool. It's got the caliber and what it looks like in the lower corner. These are pretty cool. I gotta get the AK one.
Sharps. Volcanic. I like that. When that Volcanic was the name of Winchester Firearms originally, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one that has the balls with the shot in it, right? Or am I thinking of something different?
41 caliber. I'm just reading the card.
Didn't it use the first self-contained cartridge?
Yeah, and it failed
Yeah.
terribly, right?
Isn't it a 22 or something? It's a rimfire.
I think paper
Spencer.
patch rifles.
Spencer. Henry lever action. Yep.
Winchester,
Yeah.
yellow boy.
Yep. 1873 Winchester. See, each one of these is progressively an improvement.
Sharps, 1874.
Low gun. 4570.
So what I was going to say is a 4570, right? Yeah.
John Moses Browning, 1886 Winchester. He worked for Winchester for a while.
Yeah, ooh, we're getting close to the
1894. So that's the Chuck Connors one, right?
I like that one right there. I was just watching the CNR Arsenal episode.
Is this the one that they did the Russian contract on, the 1895?
Yeah, with the magazine, the 500
Yeah.
box magazine. It's kind of crazy how the whole trigger thing just like pops out. Yeah, I don't think it's a very good rifle. But...
Derringer. See, here's the whole thing about
you couldn't
Derringer.
fire it from the prone very well.
You know what? I forgot which one it was, but there was a guy named Derringer who did make pistols. And then what they did was everybody that made Derringer style pistols, they just, I forgot, added or subtracted an R. So it wasn't. It was. I forgot what the Derringer. The person had 1 R or 2 R's, and the pistols after that other companies made, they just either added or subtracted an R. I forget which was which.
I don't know either.
It's a copyright infringement thing. I mean, but they wanted to make Derringers and not have to pay royalty, patent royalty. So.
This would be pretty sick. It's 22 short. Here we go. I think I saw a video.
Pepper box. Didn't those sometimes accidentally chain fire?
Maybe. This one's in 22 short, 30, 32 short. So yeah, this one probably wouldn't chain fire. Maybe. You're talking about the cap and ball ones, right?
That's what I thought. Well, didn't they have some that were?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But these are here to be rimfire. That one's rimfire.
Ah, okay.
Maybe they didn't make it to the pile. Maybe we haven't got to it yet.
Remington
Elliott.
Elliott. Never heard of that one.
32.
It looks like a Derringer.
Does 4-shot.
Well, obviously they became very popular in the West among card players, smaller guns. They became very popular among card players, prostitutes. And
Yeah, I mean something that small just fit in your pocket. Look, there's no trigger guard, there's nothing. You just that's close in, right in somebody's gut.
Check that one out. 41.
National Arms. Never seen that. Doesn't look like. Yeah, there's.
Not bad. As long as it gets the job done, right?
I guess. Brooklyn Arms.
32. Oh, here we go. Check this one out. 8-shot.
Yeah, I'd call any of those a pepper box, but
22 short. That's pretty.
What's it called? I can't quite read the name on that.
Rupertus.
Rupertus? Okay. Never even heard of that one.
And
Remington.
vest pocket.
Best Pocket.
Works. Am I thinking of the Colt vest? I don't know.
Well, I like subcompact pistols, but I like the modern ones. They work more reliable. But these are definitely interesting.
The next one in the queue is pretty cool. The Wheeler 2-shot rimfire, 22 short. Here's one that I think is pretty sick. I saw a video on Forgotten Weapons on this one.
the Knuckle Buster.
Knuckle Duster.
Well, it's got a knuckle duster
Dude, it's
on.
got no barrel.
Well, it looks like it's supposed to be used to hit somebody with, not to shoot a bullet out of.
7-shot. Good to go.
Wow.
There's a video, I'm pretty sure, on Forgotten Weapons on those.
Colt 3rd model.
I think Forgotten Weapons might have did a video on that too. Or something similar.
Protect.
That's where you just squeeze it, right?
Protector palm pistol.
It goes between your middle finger and your whatever that is, right between the two. If you make a V like the Vulcan sign there and put the barrel between, and you Yeah, I think I've seen that in Forgotten Weapons as well.
Well, that gives the whole new concept to giving somebody the finger, I guess. But
Yeah, kind of.
Remington rifle cane.
Yes, those
Well,
are
I've seen sword canes, but
those are
not rifle
NFA
canes.
now, right? Stuff like that is NFA because it's concealed.
As opposed to just putting a pistol in your pocket.
Yeah, it's not very gentlemanlike, you know.
Remi-
3-2-1 rimfire.
Remington, what's that say?
Beals?
Beals.
Beals. Okay. Never seen that one before, or never heard about. Winchester, 1890.
Next, we got the Colt Lightning.
Not to be
Oh.
confused with the Colt Lightning revolver.
Next, we got the 1873 Winchester.
Going backwards, we just had the 1890, I thought. All right.
The next one we got is the Marlin shotgun.
Oh, they skipped the model 1892? Okay.
Here's John Browning, 1897.
Slide action.
Here's an 1882 Spencer. Here's an 1887.
Winchester shotgun.
Yeah. So that one was in 12 gauge and 10 gauge, but it was black powder, I believe, and it was the 1901 that was available in 12 gauge smokeless. And everybody thinks that the one in Terminator was this 1887 model, but I don't think it was because he wouldn't have access to black powder.
You mean the one that he
Shells.
sorts the spin cock?
The
one?
1901 model looks identical, but it will shoot smokeless powder, whereas the 1887, I believe, was set up for black powder only.
That looks too big to spin cock unless they
You just
saw
you
off the
cut
barrel.
the handle, yeah. You cut the stock down, you cut the barrel down. But the 1901 model looks identical to this. It's a lever action, same thing, but it's designed to handle smokeless powder and it's 12 gauge only. Whereas this one was 10 and 12 black powder. That's back when they had those paper or
One's
brass
much stronger.
cartridges.
Yeah, the 1901 is probably much stronger.
Yep.
Colt hammerless, 1883.
It's a side by side. Yeah, it's a side by side. Nice.
That's like a coach gun?
I think so. So you got those brass shotgun shells. They either used paper or brass back then. They didn't have plastic. So
Williams and Moore. Oh, my knees itchy. Here we go. Some Colt revolving shotgun.
that'd be kind of neat. Now that's the 38 Colt. It's not the same thing as a 38 Special. So when they're talking about the Army using revolvers, 38 revolvers against the Moros in the Philippines during the Spanish-American War, I believe it was the cartridge this shot, which is a 38 Colt. And people seem to think that because that wasn't powerful enough that the 38 Special is the same cartridge, and it's not.
Now, this is the one with the weird brake action, right?
You know, it kind of does look like a top brake, but I'm not familiar with that one.
There's a video on InRange TV. I think it was on InRange. Carl Casardo.
Merwin, Hulbert and Company.
If you look at the calibers, those calibers were typically top brakes towards the end of the 19th century. Yeah.
Top brake
Russian.
caliber. Top brake caliber, what does that mean?
No, it's just the I shouldn't say top brake caliber. The types of revolvers I've seen that were top brakes were typically chambered in like 44 Russian and things like that. So
Okay.
I'm not saying that is for sure, but it kind of
That says 44, 45. There was a 44 Russian, wasn't there? Caliber?
I could be wrong, but it looks like one to me.
It might be the one that slides forward. I don't know. It does something weird, I know.
Yeah, it says 44 Russian on there. So
Yeah, like was it Smith & Wesson Model 3 or something is the top brake, and there's the Schofield top brake.
So you're talking about top break revolvers where that's
Yeah.
okay.
I know that
Right.
just
It does
those
not
those tend to
look
have
like
been
that was
prevalent in certain
right.
cartridges.
Colt double action.
Now, is that the okay? Yeah, lightning. Okay, so didn't Billy the Kid carry one of these?
I have no idea what Billy
Old West
Kid.
stuff.
And wasn't the mechanism really weak? The springs were prone to breaking on the double action. I thought it was. It was faster, but it was weaker.
Remington #3 Frontier Army.
Yeah. And was
Oh,
that a
something
top
else.
break as well, or no?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
What are the calibers on that one there? It's blurry. Can you go a little closer?
44 Remington, 4440, 45 Colt.
Okay.
Now the 4440 might have been a rimfire. Wasn't that a Henry cartridge?
I believe you're right. It could
Yeah,
be
there's some
wrong,
of this
but I
stuff.
believe
I'm
you're
like, I know I'm getting some of it wrong. Some of it sounds familiar. There you go. The Colt Army. Single action Army.
Yeah, that's been in a lot of TV shows, the Colt.
Oh yeah.
Peacemaker.
Here's the revolver you were just mentioning.
Oh, there it is. There's the top break. All right.
Schofield.
44 Smith and 44 Henry.
I thought there was also thought they had a 44 Russian, and that came from the 44 American. And I thought they imported a whole bunch of them top breaks over to the Tsar. Maybe it was a later model because 1870s sounds a little early for that.
Can I ask how much this deck cost you? How much did you have to pay gun channels for this deck?
Fortunately, I don't remember. I'd have to go look through the thing.
Yeah, we bought them all so long ago.
Packers.
Are they still available if anybody wants one?
I believe once they all get shipped, then they'll be for sale on the website.
All right.
They might be for sale on gear websites if he has any left over, and if it's not on gear websites, it might be for sale from a distributor, maybe.
Yeah, I would think that. Yeah, because they came in from Texas, some place in Texas.
Yeah, I know they were printed in America. I remember him saying that he was going to get them printed here in the United States. So.
There you go.
1858.
There's a cap and ball. Mm-hmm.
New model Army.
Yep.
Another cap and ball.
Samuel Colt.
Colt Navy. Yeah.
Navy.
It's a smaller caliber. The Navy's a 36 caliber and the Army's a 44.
Isn't that our favorite one? Didn't a lot of them, when they pretty much, by the time they're getting shot out, you pretty much have to go up to a 38?
I don't know. I don't know if they had to. Yeah, I'm afraid that's something I would have to do some research on. I haven't worn one out yet.
Colt's Dragoon revolver.
Yeah, and I thought they had different, like a first model Dragoon, a second, and a third.
Looks like a lot of steel. How much does that thing weigh? No,
they're not bad.
It doesn't have a weight on it. 21,000 produced, though. It's got to be pretty good.
A Walker. There we go.
How come the Colt Walker is just a deuce? All right, well.
Because it'll make you drop a deuce when you see somebody pull one out.
All right, so that was it. All right, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I hope people stuck around long enough to watch that.
There's the Patterson. Yeah, there we go. That was a 5-shot, and it didn't have a trigger guard.
No trigger guard?
Yeah, this was his first revolver.
No trigger guard. Okay, well, 1837.
Yep.
Well.
Yep.
no trigger guard just strikes me as a little too hinky. But it's a nice card deck there. Looks like it's definitely worth if you like collecting collectible card decks. Definitely, and guns. It's definitely worth having.
Oh yeah.
So, and I know that's one way he tries to finance gun channels from and keeping up the website and stuff. So, it's on gear websites if you want one. So, use your favorite search engine and you can find it if they're still available. All right, so we'll see everybody next week, same time, same bat channel, and God bless America.
Later.
Thank you.